everyone, this is part 2 of my March reading wrap-up. In my previous video, I talked about all the science fiction and fantasy books that I had read this month, and now I'll talk about the rest of the books I read, which were mostly comics. And then at the end, I will give a brief update on my reading progress / achievements. First, I'll talk about Scales and Scoundrels, Volume 1 by Sebastian, Girner, and Galaad. This is a new fantasy adventure comic. The trade paperback of Volume 1 just came out last month. Our main character is Louvander. She's an adventurer and a treasure hunter. She's also a bit down on her luck, and she meets this group of adventurers who are set on going into the Dragon's Maw, which is this ancient labyrinth / dungeon / abandoned city / treasure trove. And Louvander is used to being a loner, but she does join this group to go into the Dragon's Maw because Louvander is looking for gold and glory. And the cast of adventurers makes for just a really endearing group of characters. I really like this setup and the world, and it's fun, though it is primarily a setup of the world and the mysteries that are in it. Solid start to the series, and I'm intrigued, so I'm looking forward to reading more. I also read the graphic novel The Prince and the Dressmaker by Wang, and this is such a cute little book. The art is cute, the heartwarming story is so sweet. Our main characters are these adorable best friends, Prince Sebastian and Francis. And Sebastian is secretly the fashion icon Lady Crystalia by night, and Francis is his secret keeper. She's his friend, she keeps the secret of his identity, and she also designs all the dresses for Lady Crystalia. However, she also wants recognition for her work as a dressmaker. Also, a side note about Frances is that she seems to be inspired by Sophie Hatter from Helsingin Castle, which is really great. She has a very similar kind of dress and manner and work. So our cinnamon bun best friends, they navigate issues like identity, ambition, love, art, and obviously gender roles. It's a really precious book and it's so beautifully illustrated. Moving along, I also read Goldie Bans, Volume 1 by Hope Larson and Brittney Williams. And Goldie is a teenage sleuth, kind of along the lines of Veronica Mars and Nancy Drew. Goldie lives and works at this Florida resort, and she is officially a valet who also, by the way, has mad drag racing skills. But in addition to this, she tries to work as the apprentice to the in-house detective. Goldie is whip smart, and she uses her smarts skills to great effect in solving mysteries around the hotel. So overall, this is a great adventure. There is a diverse cast throughout the comic, and so it's a fairly enjoyable read. The last comic series that I read this month is A-Force. I read both Volume 0 and Volume 1. They're by Willow and Jorge Molina. So the A-Force is an all-female team of Avengers, and Volume 0 is set in this alternate universe, whereas Volume 1 goes into the main Marvel universe. So let's start with the premise of Volume 0. So we have the A-Force, and they are the defenders of this matriarchal island nation, and all is well until some attacks start. Then they come from these mysterious portals, and at the same time that these attacks on the island start, a mysterious figure falls from the sky. The A-Force discovers her, and this character is later named Singularity. And then, moving into the premise of Volume 1 of A-Force, Singularity makes her way into the main Marvel universe, and there she finds that the A-Force are independent heroes. They're not a team of superhero ladies, and Singularity has been followed and is being hunted by this creature called antimatter, and so to help combat this, she needs to assemble the A-Force ladies into a team. So I love that this has really great, strong female heroes in it, but the characters are not very well developed. I didn't really get a sense of each of the main characters, and for the plot of these 2 volumes of A-Force, they are standard superhero stuff, very predictable, so the series wasn't exactly to my taste. Now I'll finish off this video with a couple of non-fiction books. First is Hidden Figures by Margot Shetterly, and this is about Black women mathematicians who make important contributions to aeronautics. The narrative starts during World War II and it continues through the Cold War. These mathematically talented women who are at the heart of the book, they start working at the Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory during the labor shortages of World War II. And at this point, they are dealing with Virginia's Jim Crow laws that segregates them from their white counterparts. And these women, they make small victory after small victory on the cultural front, and then they also help make a decisive victory in the space race. For this book, I actually saw the film adaptation, first saw it about a year ago, and the film is incredible. I think it's such a good movie, and to speak to the difference between the book and the movie, the biggest difference that, as I recall, is that the timeline of events happens in a compressed manner in the movie, whereas the book, it follows these women over many decades of their careers and their lives. Overall, Hidden Figures is such an inspirational book. I love the content so much. I love the discussion of the math and the science that these phenomenal women completed, and it talks about the cultural, historical situation that they dealt with. The one thing that I didn't love about this book is the writing quality. It wasn't very well structured, and a lot of the descriptions were quite dry. But the content is so good that I really highly recommend this book. And lastly, I want to talk about a very funny book. It is Ive Got This Round by Mamrie Hart. And Mamrie is a comedian and entertainer extraordinaire. She returns with a second book of hilarious adventures from her life. Again, she does such a good job, or really, actually a better job of writing hilariously. Her first book was a collection of stories from her whole life, whereas this book is the story of one particular year in her life. It happens when, after a decade-long relationship, Mamrie finds herself single for the first time since college. And so she goes on a bit of a eat, pray, love sort of adventure, though less religious and also way raunchier. And Mamrie's adventures takes her all over the world on bucket list type experiences. And through all the crazy shenanigans, Mamrie stays true to herself and to her personal values, especially if there's this emphasis on the support of strong female friendships. So while this book, it has the same booze-fueled entertainment value as her previous book, I actually like this current one so much better. And her second book, it has stronger writing, but also importantly, tighter personal themes. The writing and the content and the themes are so cohesive that it's less like a collection of essays and feels more like a travel memoir. Overall, this is just one of the funniest nonfiction books I've ever read. And that's a wrap on my March reading. And before I sign off, a quick update on my reading goals. So one of my goals was to read more women authors, and of the 43 books that I've read so far this year, 72% have been by female authors, so I'm doing really great there. And then another of my goals is to read more people of color authors, and of the 43 books, 42% of them have been by people of color, which is just above parity for the US demographic numbers, so I'm feeling pretty good about how that is progressing. So because of this and other personal goals, I'm feeling quite accomplished. Anyway, onward to more books and reading. Until next time, my lovelies.